Howdy folks, welcome to my World of Tanks replays. I am the Mighty Jingles. Today we're going to be looking at the Panther II. Great German Tier 8 medium tank. Much better than its predecessor at Tier 7, the Panther. Now, I know we're looking at the Panther II here, but in order to explain why the Panther II is so good, first we need to look at its Tier 7 brother, the Panther. And the Panther's a good tank. Same armour profile. Not as thick, obviously, as on the Panther II, but it's the armament that really lets it down. There's the stock gun, the 75mm KWK 42L70. Now that's the same gun that the Panzer IV gets at Tier 5. So that just doesn't cut the mustard at Tier 7, 8, 9 and 10 in this Tier 7 tank. So, okay, if we're not going to use that, what can we upgrade to? Well, there's a 105mm derp gun, which, yeah, okay, less said about that the better. Then you've got the curse of the German medium tank line, the KWK 36 88mm L56 gun, which doesn't have enough penetration to be mounted on any Tier 7, 8 or 9 tank, which leaves us with the 75mm KWK 45 L100. Now this isn't a bad gun. The rate of fire is good, the penetration is very good, it's nearly 200mm. Unfortunately it's the damage that lets it down. It's very accurate, it's got very good aiming time, and you're going to hit, you're going to penetrate, you're going to damage what you shoot at with this gun, but you're going to take off 5% of its health, and it's going to take a lot of shots to kill him, which kind of relegated the Panther at Tier 7 to a long-range sniping, harassing fire support role. It wasn't a frontline tank, which is totally what the Panther was. So when you finally upgrade and you get your hands on the Panther II, suddenly you're an actual battle tank again. And that's all because of this beauty. The KWK 43L71 88mm gun. Now this is basically an 88mm version of the awesome 75mm gun that you had on the Panzer IV. 240 damage, that's double what the Panther's gun does. Even more penetration, 203mm. Still a good rate of fire, although it is the slowest rate of fire of any of the Tier 8 medium tanks. Very good accuracy, acceptable aiming time. When you're waiting to get your first shot on the target after you come to a halt, it does take a while to aim, but as soon as you're zoomed in, you're good. And that gun allows you to play the Panther II either as a sniper, because it is very accurate, it does have good penetration, and it does pack a punch, or as a brawling, flanking, frontline medium tank, which is where I feel this tank really shines. Now, brawling, you're going to need some good armour for that. Well, 100mm at the front, but 60 degrees of slope, which improves the effective armour to, I think, 120mm, or in that region. 60 at the sides, 40 at the rear. Yeah, so again, you don't want to be presenting your sides and rear to the enemy. The turret, upgraded turret, decent frontal armour, 120mm, 60 side, 60 rear. So yeah, I mean it's a medium tank. You don't want to be presenting anything towards enemy guns if you possibly can. You want to be popping out, taking your shot, and then disappear and relocate and come somewhere else. Going up with your heavy tanks, giving them support, getting around the sides of the big boys, punishing them. It will perform very well if the matchmaker allows it and you're not relied on to get up front. As a second line support tank, because that gun is very accurate and it's fast. 55 kilometers per hour. This thing will outrun a T59, no problem. It's kind of sluggish when it starts up. It doesn't accelerate very well, but once it hits that top speed, this thing goes like a rocket. Doesn't turn very well, however. Definitely not as maneuverable as, for example, the T44 or the Type 59. But overall, it's a nice package. It's a good tank. So let's take it out for a spin, see how it does. Here's a replay I prepared earlier. Okay, Panther II in action. So first thing we do, something you should be doing at the start of any game, is looking at the team list, seeing where you stand. So it's a Tier 9 game, could be worse, there's only 2 Tier 9s per side. And I'm in a Tier 8 medium, so yeah, not too bad. Balance looks about even in heavy tanks. In fact, this looks like a very well balanced game. 1 artillery, even spread of tank destroyers, even spread of medium tanks. Good job by the matchmaker. Secondly, what map are we on? We're on Westfield. Okay, medium tank on Westfield. I'm probably going to need to stick to the lower ground, either in the valley or up on the hill. And what I'm going to do is park up on the ridge of the hill here in front of us. Keep an eye out for medium tanks and light tanks trying to make a rush through the village to get to our artillery in the valley here. It's probably the best thing I can do in the early section of the game. So, what support do we have? Well, we've got a T-34-85 over there, but I'm not going to count on him for much in the way of support. Tier 6 medium in this game. Can't really blame him. He's got paper for armour. He only has about 650 health. He's going to get two-shotted by most of the things in this game, and his selection of guns is mediocre. So, I'm not going to count on this poor guy. Over on that side, IS-3 and Type 59, but it looks like they're going over the ridge here rather than keeping an eye on this side, so I'm pretty much all alone over here, so going to play it safe. Doesn't appear so far to be anybody coming through the village here in the valley, but from this spot you can cover both that, anybody trying to rush over here, and sometimes the enemy heavies like to come over the top of the hill and down this route here, so this is a good spot to camp up in and some decent cover. But if nothing happens, and so far it's only our scouts that have suicided, we're going to have to move up and take the fight to them. So now we play the waiting game. Keep an eye on what's going on. Yeah. Haven't spotted any of their mediums. Our light tank's already dead, so we're going to move up. But I'm not going to rush straight ahead in case somebody's camping in the woods over there. Now, I've got very good view range, but they also have a Panther II. So, keeping my distance, I'm going to move up the hill to these bushes and see if I can spot that Panther II or the KV-13. T-34-85's playing it safe. He's moving forward to take over the position I've just vacated, which isn't a bad idea. And we've just lost a tier 8 tank destroyer. That's not good. And if you look at the map, top corner of the battlefield is where it's really going on. And we're probably about to lose another heavily outnumbered up there. Oh, that was cool. That was sloppy, knocking trees over. This is the dangerous part. You've just broken cover. You don't know what's up. Panther II. This is probably going to miss. I haven't fully aimed. Oh, it hit him. It didn't penetrate. Well, I didn't even expect to hit him. And there's somebody else shooting at me from over there. So that could be the case. It's the Hellcat. Now, the long 88 is a good gun, but your first shot reaction is not great on this thing, and that's because of the aiming time. Now, the other problem with the Panther II, in common with the E50, is a horrible gun depression, and that's going to cause us a problem in just a minute. Gun elevation isn't fantastic either, so I'm probably... Yeah, there we go. Oh, right, there's the KV-13. So there's a Hellcat and a KV-13 now. Winning this fight, with the two of them shooting at me, is going to come down to keeping my armour angled against both of them at the same time to increase the effective thickness. As you can see, I seem to be doing a reasonable job of it. Now that Hellcat is the most dangerous threat, but I can two-shot kill him if I get decent damage rolls. But I can't get my gun pointing at him. So, in order to shoot that bugger, either he does something stupid, like that. Notice I haven't actually taken any damage yet. The armour angling. Now this is where I'm vulnerable. These guys have backed off, and I'm going to have to go after them. And this is where your lower frontal plate there becomes vulnerable, because you have to go over the hill. You can't shoot over the ridge of the hill with the Panther because the gun depression is so poor. But I'm over the hill now, and somebody nailed the Hellcat for me. and our slugger took care of the KV-13. So get a good head of steam up. Let's get down here and nail their artillery. The T-34-85 survived. Good for him. There's their GW Panther. We'll have him. And the slugger finishes him off as well. Now here is where that gun elevation. See, if you're on a downward slope trying to shoot across a valley at somebody on the opposite upward slope, you don't have the gun depression. And that was a waste of a shot. But still, at least we spotted him. Now there's Ferdinand. Let that sucker aim. Bang. That was quite lucky actually. The shot actually sailed off centre, but it still penetrated his side. Oh, now he's pointing at me. Haven't actually taken any damage. Just blew my tracks off. Now he makes a big mistake. Turns his gun on what he thinks is a bigger threat, exposing his flank to me, and I can penetrate his flank, no problem with this gun. There, he's dead. And now we're capping, so it's just a question of stopping them from preventing the cap. The T-34-85 finally succumbed. So we've got a Yak Panther and a Löwe, and there's a T-32 up around there somewhere, and a T-34. And again, lousy German gun depression. If they want to shoot down into the cap zone, they've got to poke over the top of the ridge. And we can hurt them if they do that. Oh, and there's the Yak Panther. Again, showing their flanks. And we can really take advantage of this, because we're not a priority target, because we're not capping. So we can pummel them from the flanks while they're trying to reset the cap, and it's too little too late. So there we go. Not a particularly exciting battle, but hopefully it showcased what the Panther is good at and what it's not so good at that awful gun depression, the not quite good enough gun elevation, but careful angling of the armour, you can bounce a lot of shots. So how did we do? Well, pretty well actually. That's doubled. That's 1400 XP. Not bad. And we actually performed quite well. Didn't feel like it during the game, but we didn't do too badly at all. So happy with that. And a respectable amount of money. And you're going to find this with tier 8 tanks of all sizes, shapes and colours. As long as you win the game, they do make quite a bit of cash. Obviously your repair costs are significantly higher at tier 8, so if you survive a match and win it, you're going to make a decent amount of money. If you lose a match and don't survive it, you're probably not going to make you're probably not going to break even. So yeah, good tank. I mean, I do like the Panther II. As you can see, I mean, that's as long as you let them give the sights time to settle on the target, that is a really, really good gun. And it's quite quick, it's got good view range, its armour is adequate for the job. You have to angle it carefully and know where the threat's coming from, and protect that lower plate, same on all the German tanks. But it's a good, solid, reliable tank. Battle heroes were not us. Thought might have got... No, I'm not going to get Confederate. I think he needs 6 damage. But yeah, decent enough result. So that was the Panther II. I hope you learned something, or at least enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.